Hey guys, before we get started, I wanted to tell you about a free resource on the Scrivener Solutions website. We all know that consistency builds trust, but somehow getting on that consistency train can be hard. Finding the time, thinking of what to say. Oh my goodness, believe me, I feel your pain. I get it. I know all too well the struggle. Sometimes we make things way too complicated for ourselves. You don't need a complicated plan to become consistent with your content marketing. Working that consistency muscle by using a super simple content plan will give you a big win, and you can build upon that. We have a free resource to help you. Go over to scrivenersolutions.com/checklist and download the super simple strategy to jumpstart consistent content creation checklist. Yes, it's a long name, but all you have to remember is scrivenersolutions.com/checklist, and you can get that instant download. Get started on the right foot and make the commitment to consistency. Other things will follow, but consistency really does matter. Start super simple and download the checklist at scrivenersolutions.com/checklist. All right, now onto the show. Hi, I'm Gayla Scrivener, ex-corporate girl and now work-from-anywhere adventure seeker. Creating a work-from-anywhere lifestyle isn't without its challenges, but those challenges certainly don't overshadow all the many benefits. What breaks my heart is seeing folks stuck and unhappy in a career and lifestyle when they want more out of life. I believe that we all have the opportunity to create the life of our dreams and earn a living in fun and creative ways to make our dream lifestyle a reality. You too can experience wonderful adventure and freedom as you live life on your own terms. In this weekly podcast, I share experiences when it comes to growing a lifestyle business through guest interviews, content marketing experience and perspectives, virtual leadership lessons, and I'll even throw in some travel adventures. My hope is through all the interviews, the tips, advice, and personal experience, you'll be inspired and motivated to keep going and creating your dream lifestyle. Life's an adventure. There's no time but the present to live life to the fullest. Hi there, and welcome to today's show. I don't know about you, but I've been accused of being a workaholic. And I do admit that, on occasion, I will allow work to consume my days and even weeks and sometimes months, leaving little room for other things. At least my thoughts are in work. I may be doing other things, but thought is in work. In my old corporate life, it wasn't that I worked 24/7, but I did put in a lot of hours. I may have missed a few of my daughter's school activities, even though I tried very, very hard not to. I'd get to the office before the rest of the staff arrived, and usually stayed after they left. I sit here now and just wonder why. Why did I do that? I think I just needed to prove something to myself, and I wanted to climb up that corporate ladder. In 2011, that's when my life made a dramatic change. The company I was working for was going to close, and I was tasked to do what was needed to downsize and then close its doors. That was the first time in my life that I made the decision not to look for another job. Instead, I was going to take that leap and figure out how to create a business that I could scratch that itch that I had of exploring and doing something so vastly different than managing medical offices. Back then, I never ever realized that I could tap into my creative side and earn a living. And actually, I never really thought of myself as a creative person. Okay, I may be crafty. I admit that. My grandma taught me how to crochet when I was about 5 or 6. I did a lot of counted cross stitch in my late teenage years and early 20s. I've been known to sew, but not clothes, more like quilt tops and other things. And when my daughter was young, I did a lot of scrapbooking. With all of those crafts, I still didn't think that I was creative because mainly I was following a pattern for the most part that somebody else created. Well, I guess scrapbooking, I didn't really follow a pattern. And even with my crafty projects, like I said, I never thought of myself as a creative person. Then, in figuring out what my new career would become, I discovered that more and more I was tapping into a creative side that I really didn't know existed. Now, even though I love my new life, running a business is hard sometimes. It really is. And I sometimes keep my analytical brain going and push back my creative side. Do you ever do that? Do you ever get so bogged down with the stuff we must do, the business side of life, and just push out the creative time, the fun time needed to fuel that other side to make life more enjoyable? Well, over the past 10 years, I've met some amazing people and seen some amazing places. And amazing is such a small word for today's guest. I am so glad you're here today because I'm sharing with you a special conversation I had with Susan Guild. As a graduate of Syracuse University, Susan went on to begin her career on Madison Avenue in New York City in marketing for a large advertising agency in a newly created position for a woman. See, back then, it was a man's world. Eventually, she ended up in Boston, Massachusetts, as a trailblazer and pioneer as, again, the first woman to sell hotel conventions, and later as the first woman to sell office supplies and furniture in the city. As a busy mom, plus traveling with her husband, she began searching for something more. Thus, Wake Up Your Magic was born. In 1995, she attended a summer intensive course for expressive arts at Salve Regina University in Providence, Rhode Island. Now, she has had the privilege of working with hundreds of clients, authored 4 books, and loves the opportunity of working with clients one-on-one or in developed mentoring programs. Sharing the power of creativity and making people's lives better is her number one passion. There's something to waking up your magic of your creative mind to help with all aspects of life. This conversation with Susan reminded me of that. So let's get right to that conversation, shall we? Well, welcome, Susan. I have been looking forward to this conversation for weeks now, and I'm so appreciative that you're joining me today.
Thank you.
Before we get too far, I would love for you to tell my listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Gayla. It's fun to be here. So this is such an interesting question because I know you're explaining some of this in the bio, but of course, being a senior, I've done lots of super exciting things. And the place I am now and what is my passion is really waking up people's magic, having them remember who they are, having them get in touch with that magnificence, really their magic, what makes their heart sing. So you ask what I'm up to, a little bit about me. I am widowed. I have 2 kids. I live outside Boston. I've always worked. And of course, at this point in life, someone would say, are you retired? And of course, I am a bit, but I still love playing with the power of creativity. I love doing all sorts of good stuff.
I have a copy of your Mighty Crayon book, and I love it. Let me tell you, I've had it, and I've gone over it more than once. When you talk about creativity and waking up your magic, what does that mean?
So I love this question because people think of the Mighty Crayon as coloring. People think of creativity as always doodling, which we talked about before the show. But the other day I found this awesome definition of creativity. And I want to share it with you. It's a guy named Edward de Bono. And I love what he says. He says creativity involves breaking out of your extended patterns in order to do things in a different way. Now think about that. Think about how we do the same old. You know, you hear people say the same old, same old. So I love thinking of creativity beyond just coloring, beyond just painting. And of course, you make quilts, your husband does music. All that is creativity. But it's digging into something so much more expansive, so much more enlightening. And it's so wonderful because it captures you. There is a passion that comes from creativity.
To find time to do creative things, and in our busy, busy world, how can we find time to do such things?
What a great question. First of all, you're a busy business owner. You're doing podcasts. I think you said you travel a bit. So, of course, that takes time. So, it's really just programming that 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's almost like people do meditation. But I love it when people take that creative time and make themselves pick out the doodle pens, as you say, work on your quilt. So how do you do that? You make that commitment to yourself. You decide that you want to balance your right brain, your left brain. You want to go deeper, but you also want to get in touch with those passions, that fun.
I've heard people say, and I'm sure that you have too, that, hey, I'm not creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body. What do you say to folks like that?
Oh my gosh, I love it when people say that because that's what they all say. But think about it. We were really born creative. And so much of what Wake Up Your Magic is about, so much my work is about, is remembering who we are. So did you ever, Gayla, put your picture, or did your parents put your picture on the refrigerator?
Yep.
And didn't you think you were queen bee when you did that?
Yep.
And then weren't you doing math or taxes or something more analytical that you kind of got away from that part of your brain?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, when you make that commitment to yourself, when you want to expand, when you decide, I'm just going to take a few minutes, it gets into your bones. There's something so enlivening. So how do you decide? How do you get people to do that? You encourage them. You inspire them. You show them results. Creativity is kind of like meditation. If you think of the results, lowering your blood pressure, less stress. So if they're really logical people, point that out.
So do you think that it takes some exploring to figure out what kind of creativity you can pull out that you really like?
Well, you know how I got back into it? And I think it's worth mentioning. And I know you many times ask people their favorite books or favorite author. And Julia Cameron wrote a classic book called The Artist Way. And it was getting back into and recovering really your spirituality, recovering your creativity. And she has all these kind of prompts and going back in life and seeing where you were. And from there, it uncovers, which is, of course, what Wake Up Your Magic does. It taps into. But we kind of, in that book, uncover parts of ourselves that we have forgotten. You know, it's that remembering. I love her as an author. I now have her more advanced books. So for somebody like you, who obviously is bursting with creativity, I mean, anybody that can do websites, anybody that can do, the crafting, it's just now you want another step. So you need that prompt. So I would suggest any of the books by Julia Cameron. She's a great creative guru.
Nice. Well, I've noticed in just talking with you briefly, it's bringing back a memory of like my husband's journey. Yeah, he's creative. He's a very creative guy. But in the last 3 years, he's really gotten into leathercraft and hand makes some fantastic leather hunting pouches that are reminiscent to the fur trade era. and I call him, he's my mountain man. But he looked up at me after working so hard on this particular bag, and this has been a couple of years ago, but he looked up at me and he said, I found something that I won't get tired of doing. And I just thought that was really meaningful.
Let's enlarge that a little. So he has found this passion. He has found such a deep part. And I'm sure he researches what it was like in that day. He envisions it in his music. He's doing the whole piece. So that becomes his passion. That becomes his aliveness, that awakeness. So it's fun for you to watch. But, I bet you have more than you give yourself credit to. I mean, just start to doodle, girl, because if you look at my, yourselves in the mighty crayon, those are not professional, but they bring me such joy to think that we have a symbol of creativity that's fun, in these dark, dark times. So congratulations to him. And I wait to see your magic.
Well, what do you think about if you find that passion? So many people think, well, then maybe I can make a career out of it. Sometimes that works, but then sometimes it becomes more of a job than the fun aspect. Can that happen, or am I looking too far into it?
So you're telling my story. So when I first began doing this, I had taken the Artist's Way workshop several times. I began to write poetry. I began to come up with exercises, nudges to wake up your magic. I had a studio. It was amazing. But then when everything went viral, went digital, then I started to have to be logical. And I just almost shut down the magic of what Wake Up Your Magic is. So that's such a good question. So I think, again, and I talk about awareness a lot, is always keeping in mind, what started it. But I feel like I've gone full circle. And I feel like I'm back since COVID, having that magic, being able to say to people, this is what it's about. This is finding, the ruby shoes or whatever it might be.
We think of business as kind of this stale environment. How can we bring creativity into a business?
So I feel like things are really evolving and that people are beginning to see that. One of the things I did during COVID was I watched a lot of videos of Success Magazine, and I love looking at leaders and seeing, what made them grow, what made them evolve, what made them stand out. And there's always a part of creativity there. And of course, for me, it's all about creating from the inside out. So somebody like you who's doing what you're doing, now you want that extra nudge of drawing, whatever. This is going to do nothing but make your business better because you're going to see clients in a whole different way. So I really feel, Gayla, that creativity is coming more into the workplace. But I also feel a lot of people like you are saying, I'm stifled. I can't stand it. I've got to move forward, which I think is terrific.
Do you have any type of exercise for business people to help draw out that creativity?
So I have an exercise I like to do with people. I call it the Wake Up Your Magic 5-step process. And I want to backslide a moment. Everything is about energy today. And if you look around, you feel what's going on and see where you're doing things from. Are you doing things from fear? I got to make money. Are you doing things from passion? So this 5-step process is really built on that concept. So I always say that step 1 is set the tone of feeling good. I always say the second step is really to look around what's easy, what's simple. I think we try to make things happen so much, and particularly in the business world, particularly if a sales manager comes say, you got to make money. But there's something, I keep going back to the word awareness, of getting in touch and being aware of what is happening. The third step is really to recognize your patterns and see how you're doing things. Are you doing it from the same old, or are you coming back to a new place? And then the best step creatively is number 4. And number 4 is really about then creating your vision, creating your script, creating your story, looking at beliefs and pretending, daydreaming, sketching, designing the essence of what you want. You know, there's that clarity that comes when you put pen to paper. You know, 90% is in our subconscious. But then when you start to write the essence, let's say it's a business plan, let's say it's a new product, let's say it's somebody spectacular like Gayla doing my social media. The essence, I'm not saying exactly what you want, but get in touch with that essence. And then the final step is to allow it to come. You know, so much can happen if we step back and use that word allowing. Some people would take action. All right, I got the essence. I got to run out, make it happen. So there's different opinions on that. But I like to think, let it come, let it be. But it's the clarity, the sitting down. So for business people, and I work with a lot of business people, I was in the business world, is really, again, it all goes back to remembering, to unearthing what you want.
I love that. Going through those exercises, if you're working in an environment that seems stifling or very, lack of a better word, corporate, but not all corporates are like a stifling environment, we have it within ourselves to break away from that environment and tap into our creativity to feed a positive work experience.
Everything is perception and everything is beliefs. You know, maybe it's not the right place for you also. But, you know, there's so much, if you look at the wholeness, just look at the gray, you know, business environment. What happens if you put color on your wall? What happens if your office, you have affirmations, flowers? There's so many little ways to change you. And then other people come to you and say, oh my God, I like where you're at. Then you get in meetings. Somehow you get better ideas. I mean, Bob Proctor, who's a big, big business coach, talks about creating things from the inside out. So I always feel that corporate, non-corporate, personal, non-personal.
In our line of work, we do a lot of writing, and I have clients that need to write or create, whether it's a blog post or a video or a podcast, because we publish those types of things. What do you say if someone may complain to you, man, I have writer's block? Do you have any advice on maybe getting that out? Or have you ever suffered writer's block?
Well, I'm not a writer, interesting. I write how my mind thinks. I write in blurbs, verse, thoughts. But I do one thing I call the Heinz 57 method, and it's great. And it's, you start to write and you number the page 1 to 57. And you start with the question, how can I unblock myself? And you just keep writing. And you probably get to 20, you know, and you go, I can't do this. Keep writing. You will write the same thing over and over. But we have so much in our subconscious by putting pen to paper. So I would try that with your people, and they're going to go, I can't write. Then get to what is that belief? Did they go to parochial school? Did they have to write? You know, what is the block? And of course, you're so nice. you'll support them.
I find that I usually share with them and this is what I do. I just start writing, even
Same thing.
Physically writing. I don't even know what to write. I don't know. Where is my mind going? And then it just meanders. And I was just curious on how you would tap into that creativity. Susan, you've talked about the Mighty Crayon book and Wake Up Your Magic. What else can you share about your work and what you do and how you help folks?
Oh, that's great. So first of all, we talked at the Mighty Crayon is my latest venture. And I love it as a nudge, a piece of inspiration. Your perfect example, wanting to doodle. And then this year I created gift bags. All my stuff is inspiration. So I've had so much fun with the gift bags. And I put the Mighty Crayon in it. I put a memo pad. I put my 30-day journal. So that has been fun creating those and creating them for grown-up parties or retreats or Zoom parties. So I'm very proud of those. I love doing mentoring. I have all sorts of programs to do mentoring. And of course, we just touched a little bit, but we all love our handheld, you know? So I wanted to mention my mentoring programs. And my first one is, $45 for 45 minutes to see where you are vibrationally. So I have a combination of things. And then, of course, I just love, again, talking about creativity, getting across the power of it.
Wonderful. When you say find out where people are vibrationally, what does that mean?
So it means energetically. So let's say our world, and let's take 6 months ago, and you could almost feel the fear and feel the close downness. And so vibrationally, it's kind of energetically. Now you begin to see it opening up. So you feel that. So it could be a person that is hanging on to old stuff, living life the way they were taught. Old beliefs can just really narrow us down. So I would say energetically is what I mean, vibrationally. But this 45 minutes, once you understand where you are vibrationally, energetically, then you can see from there how you move forward.
Nice. Thank you. Is it on your website that you can gather your books, order your books and gift bags and mentoring program?
Everything's on my website. I have a recent video from Dr. Christiane Northrup displaying my gift bags, so that's sort of fun.
Nice.
And you'll see certainly pictures of me. The books are scanned in. The mentoring packages is very detailed, who it's good for. So my website, sometimes I think it's too long. I mean, you as a social media person would probably say enough.
No. And if, in fact, the more that you can tell your story and have things on your website, I like to tell folks, if you don't have things on your website for people because people tend to internet stalk. They discover us, right? And then they want to know more about you. And if you don't have things on your website, all of this stuff, because I like perusing your website, that's for sure. Oh, you do videos. Tell us about your videos and what you share.
Well, this is a great question that you don't even know, but I am going to do this summer, when you talk about videos, I'm going to do really what's it all about, explaining step by step, because I think people see this creative stuff and they're not always aware of the prompts, the studies, the nudges. So those are my upcoming videos. And I'm starting with a Mighty Crayon, and then we'll go to the inspiration gift bag. So I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
So, and then about a year ago, a friend of mine online said, you've got to do videos. And it's like, I can't do videos. There are all these young people out there, doing videos. But it's so much fun. I love it.
And you do a great job. I love your videos.
Thank you. But having done television and having done Toastmasters and having worked in advertising and marketing, it's fun to pull it together.
Well, advertising and marketing has a lot of creative juices flowing. And if you get too, well, you have to have an analytical part of you, but you've got to pull out some of that, think outside of the box. Oh, and speaking of that, do you have any advice for business owners that if they think that their team is maybe not thinking out of the box, they need some creativity type things, how do you encourage that thinking outside of the box as a business owner?
So as a business owner, of course, I think brainstorming, mind mapping, I know you probably do with your clients, mood boards, anything that you get them together, get them out of the overthinking mind. And of course, creativity brings out answers that the logical mind cannot. So get them into activities, but they've got to be having fun. They've got to have shifted their mindset. I mean, everything's about mindset, don't you think?
Oh, yes.
And unless we can shift that and take them to a whole new place. But if their mindset is a meeting, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and there's no deviation, how are they going to think outside the box? Years ago, 3M had a thing for their employees, and it was a suggestion box. And that's where 3M, those Post-it notes came from. So it's, again, getting your group together, getting people communicating, getting people sharing. It's wonderful.
In a fun way. How can people contact you, Susan?
So there are several ways. I mean, I still love it when I hear from people by email. I still love to do, I will do, and I think this may be on my website, a 10 or 15 minute consultation. If they're thinking about one of my mentoring packages, I love the opportunity to meet with people, to talk with people. I mean, those are my strengths, my intuitive strengths, again, seeing the vibrations. And of course, they can email me at susguild@mac.com. They can go to my Facebook page. I have Susan Guild. I also have Wake Up Your Magic. Instagram, which I'm just learning to use, and look at your stuff all the time.
Well, I think you'll have fun on Instagram. It's kind of, that's why I like it.
Yeah.
That's the one social media that I actually enjoy going into just on a fun basis, because that's where I think the creativity is.
Well, and I've had fun doing the metaphors. For instance, I just posted, fireworks on my backyard that were on a lake in the back of me. And think about what lights you up and lighting up the sky and going higher. I mean, I'm having a ball with it. Yes.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, I have truly enjoyed this conversation with you, Susan. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you, Gail. You're so nice to have me.
You are a star.
I don't know about you, but this conversation with Susan really inspired me to remember to take time to pause and be creative. Pick up those crafty things and enjoy the moment. Learn a new creative skill like sketching to shake out the cobwebs of, my mind and to be inspired or unblocked in the business side of things. I hope Susan inspired you too. You're hearing in the background her little theme song that you'll hear in all her videos, and I just love it. It is so uplifting. Now, I encourage you to visit her website, wakeupyourmagic.com. Follow her on social too. Now, since our conversation, I've been seeing her be a whole lot more active on Instagram, and I'm truly loving her posts. It's really fun. All her contact information is down there in the show notes, so be sure to follow her and check out her website. Well, until next time, have a fantastic week.
You are a star. You are a star. That's what you are.
Hey, wait. Before you go, I want to remind you, if you're a marketing consultant and don't want to manage a whole bunch of employees or independent contractors, yet you want some recurring income from your clients, well, let's talk. Scrivener Solutions offers white label content marketing services. Yep, we have that, just for marketing consultants. You concentrate on creating the branding and marketing plan for your client and let the Scrivener Solutions creative team help you implement your plan. Let's face it, your clients nor you have the bandwidth to get it all done, to get all the details involved in implementing the plan accomplished. So go over to scrivenersolutions.com/white label to find out more details about how you can tap into our experience and systems to create recurring income for your marketing consultancy. Again, go to scrivenersolutions.com/white label and schedule a call. Thanks for listening.